But right now, you can clearly see that at least there's one in the back, and then the driver himself appearing to be very serious about this chase. Both hands on the wheels, just keeping this car moving at all costs. We haven't seen him run too many red lights, but we understand that earlier on, that's exactly what he was doing, and extremely high speeds when it was in the Compton area. Right now, though, just a little bit better than whatever the roadway is. Probably if they're probably going about 50, maybe, you know what, I should change that up. We actually are moving about 60 miles an hour. This pursuit's continuing on now. We're getting into the Lakewood area. Not sure if Long Beach PD is going to stay behind it, because they did kind of take it over in their city limits. So we're moving out of the Long Beach area. We're going to be moving into the Lakewood area right now. Now, Lakewood, we all know they have got the Sheriff's Department for their law enforcement, wondering if they're going to get involved or if it's just going to be Long Beach. Right now, though, this chase continues. Law enforcement, the stolen vehicle is what they're talking about, and that's why they want this car to stop. But this driver this afternoon opting just to keep this thing going. And, of course, this time of the afternoon, we're going to be starting to see a lot more traffic, especially in the Long Beach area. I'm on CBS. I'm on 5. Hey. Whoops, whoop, 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 whoop. Oh. I think we're on Del Amo. We're right by the Del Amo Mall, right? Okay. Hopefully the sheriffs take it over so we can hear what they're talking about. Oh, there's the first red light that we've seen. Well, it is definitely a chase, and Long Beach PD, they're the ones that have re-engaged it. It started up in the Compton area. Reckless driving, a stolen vehicle, extremely reckless driving earlier on, wrong side of the road, high speeds. In the Sheriff's Department, they said it's too dangerous, we're going to back off. But by that time, the helicopter was already over it, so the helicopter continued following it. They did pick it up a couple of times as it moved through different sheriff's jurisdictions, but when it got into Long Beach's area, well, Long Beach, they don't play. They got behind it. They've got multiple units, lights and sirens, and it just keeps on going out here. Now, this is a stolen vehicle. We know that there's at least, well, the driver, obviously, but we've been kind of peeking inside using the powerful lens in Sky 2, and we can see that there's at least one person in the back seat, one passenger up front. Got to wonder what that conversation is up there. They have been running, down there, they have been running a couple of red lights, so it is getting a little bit more dangerous. Lakewood is the area we're in. We're moving southbound right now. Can tell you that we were definitely on Del Amo earlier on. Right now, we possibly on Bellflower, getting into a little bit of traffic, and this is definitely going to be a concern for all the law enforcement and for us up here as well as we watch this. It's at that time of the afternoon. Everybody's going home. They want to get to where they're going. Work is done, and the streets are starting to get really packed. We've been seeing more and more traffic like that for this Honda. It's a 99 Honda Accord is what they're calling it. Now, Long Beach PD, they are behind it. I'm going to get a little bit of a wider shot, and they're proving me wrong. They must have fallen farther back. Definitely in the Lakewood area. We're going to be moving southbound, and this chase being followed by an airship, a helicopter for sure, and the information being called out to law enforcement on the ground. You know, it's been surface streets as far as we can tell all the way, and he's had plenty of opportunities. He's gone by the 91, over the 91, over by the 710. Right now, as we keep on moving to the south over here, we're going to have the 405 coming up here shortly. So he's had those opportunities, been staying on the roads, the streets by themselves, mainly on the mains, the big streets, the bigger ones, Atlantic, Long Beach, Compton, the Lamo. Those are the ones that he's basically been on. We've seen him go through a couple of smaller neighborhoods, but just to make his way back out to a major roadway. Right now, though, back to doing that, just blending in. That was so difficult earlier on. There were no law enforcement behind him. It looks just like a regular car. And when the officers from whatever department are behind it, he starts speeding up. You saw that helicopter just go through the shot. That's going to be an LAPD helicopter. They were assisting the sheriff's department earlier on when this chase started. It started in the Compton area. The sheriffs were chasing it, so that LAPD helicopter came down to assist because it was close by, and now he's been over it the entire time, tracking this vehicle, giving out information to the ground units. Long Beach, they were right behind it, lights and sirens, letting those people know what was going on, the civilians in the area. Right now, though, the car's kind of by itself once again, just kind of blending in on traffic. And it just kind of continues on out here as we just follow it along, seeing where it goes. And I'm kind of curious how law enforcement is going to bring this one to an end. Well, you know, as far as the speeds are concerned, at one point we did get them, clock them right about the 50, 60 miles an hour on surface streets. So that for a crowded street, that is pretty fast and extremely dangerous for the public. Right now, though, as far as we've been told, stolen vehicle is what the original want was. But when they got behind him originally, the speeds really kicked up. We never heard any exact numbers, but we did know that there was enough that the sheriff's department decided it was too dangerous, especially when he started driving on the wrong side of the road in the Compton area. He was in some smaller streets. If you're familiar with the Compton area, there's a little section where all the streets are named after trees. He was driving through those neighborhoods, but then worked his way back out onto the majors, was on Compton Boulevard for a while, then Atlantic, and then those speeds really started to pick up. Right now, he's just another car driving on the roadway, trying to blend in. Law enforcement, though, that would be the LAPD helicopter, still overhead, still calling out locations, letting the law enforcement on the ground know where this car is. Right now, my guess is they're just going to follow it till it gets to whatever destination, and then I bet we'll see a number of law enforcement show up. You know, sometimes we like to try to assume that there's like some sort of pursuit logic that goes on, but for the most part, this is just random moves is my guess. And this person driving this car this afternoon, taking it very seriously. Every time we see the driver looking through the window, he's got both hands on the wheel, he's got his seat perfectly straight up and down, and he's just driving. He's very concentrated on what he's doing. The other people in the car, you can see them kind of looking out the window, rolling back and forth. I'm guessing right now, and I haven't heard for sure, but I'm guessing that this is going to be Wardlow, and we're moving eastbound right now, so we're going to be coming back up onto a major freeway here in a minute. That freeway would be the 605. Sorry about that. Not sure if he's going to take the 605 or if he's just going to continue on, but right now it's just another car on the roadway, especially if you get a little bit wider. I don't want to lose it because it took us forever to find it to begin with, but it just looks like another car driving along on the roadway. Unfortunately, though, there's a law enforcement above him in a helicopter, and they're calling out the locations where this guy is. You know, that's really what it looks like, and that's one of the reasons why law enforcement use that technique where they just kind of back off. It's a danger to the public, these chases, and we don't, you know, law enforcement, they are protecting. That's one of the things our law enforcement does, is protect, and they are trying to protect people. So when these people, when a suspect, like the guy driving this car right now, starts driving erratically, and we see that, well, maybe he's not as erratic when we're not behind him, that's what they're going to do, because they want to keep the public safe. So that's what's going on right now, and that's what we're seeing. Definitely going to be in the Cypress area as this car is just continuing eastbound out here this afternoon. Saw that person in the back seat. You see that glow in there. Could be a cell phone, most likely a cell phone. I don't know if that person is using some sort of mapping program, maybe giving directions. But right now, this continues on. There's law enforcement above it. And as mentioning earlier on about the every infraction thing, you know, at one time, you know what, I have to admit it, I was just like everybody else. I thought there was somebody sitting down or in one of the police cars going, yep, didn't use his blinker, yep, you're driving too close. But apparently no, they just go for the big ones. In this case, reckless driving, evading, and gosh only knows why this person's doing it. Maybe they got multiple warrants, and then of course we understand, there we go, now we're starting to drive a little bit crazy again, running another red light right there. And of course, we're understanding this possibly a stolen vehicle. Wardlow. We're in the city of Cypress, yes. Well, we're definitely well established in the Cypress area. We're on Wardlow. That is the street. You know, the exact crosses, they kind of get away from us every now and then, but I can tell you we're very close to Moody out here off of Wardlow. If we haven't crossed it, we are going to cross it shortly. This continues on, though. We did see that maneuver where he did run a red light, and there are no law enforcement behind him. If you are familiar with Wardlow, it is a long, straight street that takes you well into the Orange County area. Don't know if we're going to keep going that direction. Obviously, he was making blocks and changing lanes earlier on. Right now, pretty much locked in on this street. As we keep on moving, we're getting farther and farther away from freeway, so California Highway Patrol not going to get involved. But that being said, as soon as we get into these different jurisdictions and there's different law enforcement getting involved, they might have a little bit of a different take about a car fleeing through their town, so they may re-engage that pursuit. Right now, though, seems to be just another Honda driving on Wardlow this afternoon, but a lot of attention being paid to this vehicle as he just keeps moving eastbound on Wardlow. Valley View. Well, he's made a turn again. Now we're going to be northbound on Valley View. So it's northbound Valley View. If, you know, I don't know exactly where Cypress ends and Cerritos starts, but he's definitely heading towards the Cerritos area right now, northbound on Valley View. And there was a couple of shots there where you can see that driver. His attention and to driving, very serious, is just the way the stance is in there. We saw him, it has not changed. Two hands on the wheel, very concentrating on what's going on in front of him. Clearly a passenger in the passenger seat in the front and then somebody else in the back seat. But there could be somebody else in there. We're not really sure. Right now, though, this Honda is still just driving along here, northbound on Valley View. Hasn't hit any vehicles. We're going to be making a turn right now. I'm guessing this is going to be on Carson, which is a street he's been on a couple of times. I believe this is Carson. We'll try to get that for sure. But also, you just saw that sign right there, and I think we're going to be getting into the Buena Park area as he's made that turn on Carson right now. And you saw that law enforcement. That's LAPD's helicopter. Lincoln. As far as black and whites or the law enforcement vehicles, nothing behind them right there. Not a one. Just to be clear, when you get into the Buena Park area, the Carson becomes Lincoln, so this is going to be technically Lincoln is what we're on. Still moving eastbound, and definitely well into the Buena Park area. I can see Knott's Berry Farm out my window there. I almost called it Magic Mountain. But at any rate, just keeps on rolling along out here, just driving like other cars on the roadway. You can see another vehicle right there just kind of keeping pace with that. A lot of trees out here, but we haven't seen him take advantage of anything like that. Passengers, sometimes they'll get into an area where there's some trees or under an overpass, and people start jumping out. Whoever's riding with them right now, they're in it. We have not seen those doors pop open. Like even right now, the passengers could get out, walk away from all of this, but everybody seems to be in for a penny, in for a pound, as it would be, and they just kind of staying inside that car. LAPD's helicopter still overhead, making the calls and letting the officers in the Buena Park area know. But right now, we don't see any even making their way to that location. Looks like you just ran another red light out there as we're working our way eastbound on Lincoln through the Buena Park area. No, that's not law enforcement. And most people around them right now probably have no idea what is going on. And that could be good and that could be bad. We don't want to have the general public get involved. We've learned that from talking with law enforcement in the past. And then we also don't want any kind of issues. We don't want people to be nervous or get frightened. Looks like we're going to be making a turn right now. Looks like we're going to be heading southbound off of Lincoln out here in the Buena Park area. We're going to get you a street name, but technically I think we're going to be getting into the southwest Anaheim area as he made that turn to the south. Does seem to be a little bit more residential, this street, so we'll see where this goes, and making more turns out here. And usually that kind of is a key that he's looking for something, or possibly this is coming to an end. See that window coming down for the first time, and that passenger just kind of getting some fresh air right there. But we're going to keep an eye on it, as well as LAPD this afternoon. Alleyway. Deb. Definitely a school right here in the area. We're going to try to get you those at least that school name here in just a minute. Does seem to be one of those areas where there we go, finally coming to a stop right there. Doors are popping open. That's the first we've seen. The driver now getting out and running, leaving his buddies. You know, they stayed with you that whole time, and now he's decided to park that car and run. Going to look like he's got a plan there where he's going to go. We're staying with the driver. It might be a little bit difficult out here, but he's going to come to us. I'm pretty sure. There he is. Just can see that cap, but that's enough. LAPD, that's the person they're going to have the most interest in right there is the driver. There's no doubt about it. And when I say LAPD, I mean the LAPD helicopter. In this case, law enforcement in this area is probably going to be Buena Park PD. Right now, though, this guy just keeps on running in what looks like almost like a piece of property between the properties. Like you said, that's going to be a school right there next to some apartments. This guy keeps looking behind him. I don't think there's anybody there. I don't want to lose him, but seems to be very concerned. Keeping that good jog up this afternoon. It's going to be a little sweaty there when it comes to an end. There's some guy just standing on the corner, and much like his driving earlier on, just trying to blend in now onto a major street out here on the sidewalk, just walking along. But LAPD, they know. Yeah, we have. He just took his sunglasses off. Yeah, he just took his sunglasses off. He's a little sweaty. I just was thinking it's like how funny it is that this guy thinks he's just going to run down the street here and just kind of blend in, and no law enforcement is going to notice. My pilot Marcos this afternoon is getting more of the wide view looking, and he's telling me right now, sadly, no officers in the area. So I'm wondering if they are trying to get their ducks in a row, or maybe they weren't right following like they usually do, especially when there's something like this going on in their town. Right now, though, he's just kind of walking along. We're going to try to get you that street, but right now I would guess this is Orange Avenue this afternoon, and the suspect from that pursuit that started in Compton, now just walking along a major roadway out here, LAPD overhead, and we're going to use the old cameraman trick and read some street names, and it looks like we're actually on Western. This is actually going to be Western. Well, he doesn't seem that desperate right now, and just seems to be, an early, I would say probably 20s, in his 20s guy was walking around. Now I hear that there is a vehicle approaching, at least a motorcycle cop. This may actually be a traffic stop that's happening right near where this is coming to an end right there. Maybe this also could be some undercovers, but it's interesting to say the least if that is just that kind of coincidence. There we go. And right away on the ground right there, you got to wonder if maybe he's a little bit relieved that it is all over. The waiting game is done. But right as he saw that officer's vehicle onto the ground right there and assuming the position, and Buena Park PD here on scene right now, and excuse me, Anaheim PD. They always get a little grumpy when I get those mixed up. But Anaheim PD, and they've got their weapons out. Guy's not in custody, but my guess is this is going to go almost textbook here in the next couple minutes. Well, that car was stopped in an alleyway up over in this area. The helicopter's still in the area circling. I think he was actually over there. So, no, I don't have eyes on that right now. Sorry about that. But the helicopter overhead and maybe giving direction to the officers on the ground, giving them an idea where the others went. But right now, this is the person that they really wanted to get. It's always the driver of that vehicle. That's the most important. And that person now in custody with Anaheim PD after this started in Compton earlier this afternoon. Go for it. Oh, you're welcome. Hey, how about our friends at Fox? What do they got? Man, that was a tough one. No street names, areas that I'm really not familiar with. That's all good, man. The suspect is inside the vehicle. Do you want us to go back to the Honda? Let's try to find the Honda. It was under a tree in an alley. That narrows it down. There it is. This is bizarre. This is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. So these guys just waited in the car for law enforcement? Nah, yeah, why not? So these guys just waited to get arrested. This is pretty bizarre. His backup just arrived, like literally just arrived. Well, it's going to be Weston and Lincoln-ish, but these are going to be like alleyways and stuff behind apartment complex. So southwest Anaheim. Oh, the dog. I knew that was a chick. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, and Samo, I kind of understand what you're asking me now. Are you asking me if this is going to be Southwest Chester Drive in Lincoln? Because it might be. It could be very close to Southwest Chester Drive in Lincoln. That's what they kept saying. I never heard them say that. Simon Des checking in. What do we got for fuel? Oh, we're good, huh? I'll find out what they want us to do. What? Copy all. Back to base.